I guess one thing that really resonates with me about this text, I have a strong interest in narrative. I'm a historian, and so some parts of what I'm interested in is just historical narrative, but I also have a really strong interest in historical fiction. And so with this particular text, I like the ways in which it kind of inspires us to really think about the experiences of slaves, not so much from the perspective of slave masters or master narratives, that great man, great history version of history that we're used to seeing from our textbooks, but really think about slave agency. And I think that the chapter in Georgia really develops that idea by looking at the day-to-day lives of slaves, the ways in which they try to lay claim to property or items or things that would help them regain their humanity in a system that really was trying to steal their humanity from them. In that regard, I feel like the fiction portions of these really allow, the author, Colson Whitehead, really dug into his imagination, understanding the structures of chattel slavery, in which the whole process was about dehumanizing slaves. So to really think about the question of what would one have to do in those circumstances to regain one's humanity and kind of follow that rabbit hole, so to speak, in terms of that idea. In that regard, historical fiction is really valuable to us because it allows us to fill in the holes in what may not exist in the historical record or historical scholarship. But then again, of course, as we see later in the book, we have to be a little bit careful because Colson Whitehead takes this book to a little bit more of a almost science fiction realm by making the Underground Railroad an actual railroad, which was not true. So that's really where we really have to be careful with believing everything we read with historical fiction. So in some sense, we have things that are really true to the period, so to speak, and that allows us to really develop that visual of what things might have been like. But then we have other things that really allow us to tap into things like empathy by using our imagination.